Hello Varlets. In this video, I'm going to showcase all of the Hive Scum's core talents and abilities so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into when this class finally comes out. If after watching this video you're convinced you'd like to play the Hive Scum for yourself, then consider wishlisting it from the link in the description. Now let's get it on. Starting with the Hive Scum's base kit, designated Gunslinger, and the upgrades for them, the starting Blitz ability is Blinder, where we toss out a grenade that detonates on impact, staggering and even knocking enemies down in a small radius. This grenade is quick to deploy and is a great piece of utility to create some breathing room in a pinch. The augmented version, Blackout, increases the number of grenades you can carry by 2, giving a total of 5 grenades to toss out. In addition to that, you can also regenerate Blackout grenades by getting 20 close-range kills. Jumping ahead a little, if you combine this with the Pocket Toxin talent, you can turn your Blackout grenades into Toxin Nades, dealing chemical damage to enemies hit by the explosion. Moving along, the base aura we have is Gunslinger. Whenever someone in Coherency picks up ammo, everyone else in the team gets a small percentage of that added to their own ammo pool. At long last, we have a second aura that helps with the ammo economy, and while it won't replace the vet's Survivalist aura, it will help ease ammo shortages. The augmented version, Gunslinger Improved, increases the percentage of the ammo we get from 5% to 10%. Lastly, for our base combat ability, we've got Desperado, where we swap to and reload our ranged weapon, entering Desperado for 10 seconds. During this time, we are immune to range attacks, and sprinting doesn't cost any stamina, and we sprint 20% faster as well. Crucially, while this ability is active, reloading does not use up any ammo from your reserves. This combat ability is what makes going on an almost purely ranged playstyle possible. It removes the problem of ammo by making it a non-factor, allowing you to shoot everything on sight. The augmented version, Enhanced Desperado, adds on the ability to highlight enemies within close range. Killing these highlighted enemies with your ranged weapon extends the duration of Desperado by 1 second. After extending it to 20 seconds, the effect of killing highlighted enemies diminishes. Oh, something to note. The cooldown of Desperado doesn't start until after it has ended. This is an important thing to consider during your gameplay. For its combat modifiers, Enhanced Desperado comes with a selection of Focused Resolve, where killing highlighted enemies restores 0.5 seconds of your cooldown. Elite and Specialist kills restore 1 second instead, up to a maximum of 5 seconds restored. Lastly, you have Pick Your Targets, giving you an extra 15% rending to support damage against armored enemies, as well as gaining an additional 3% range damage for every highlighted enemy killed, up to 5 stacks. The Keystone node for the Gunslinger tree is Vultures Mark. Whenever we kill a special or elite enemy with our ranged weapon, we gain a stack of Vultures Mark for 8 seconds, and we can have a maximum of 3 stacks. Each stack we get grants us 5% range damage, critical chance, and movement speed. When we reach max stacks, elites and special kills restore 15% toughness to us and allies within Coherency. This Keystone provides a multitude of buffs supporting our combat output as well as providing team sustain. The supporting Keystone modifier nodes for Vultures Mark are Patient Hunter, where we increase the duration of Vultures Mark to 12 seconds. Vultures Dodge, which grants us total immunity to all attacks whenever we score a ranged critical hit for 1 second. This is an incredibly powerful defensive node that thrives on high fire rate weapons built for crit. And lastly, we have Vultures Push, which causes nearby enemies around us to be knocked back whenever we kill an elite or specialist with a ranged weapon. This node helps provide some breathing space whenever we gun down key enemies in close combat. Next up, we're going to take a look at the melee talent path, designated Ruffian, and it's intended to be the in-your-face melee-centric build. The Blitz ability here is Boombringer. Activating the ability whips out an expendable rocket launcher. Primary fire will charge up the weapon briefly before unleashing the rocket forward. Holding down the secondary fire tightens your aim a little but also pre-charges the rocket, allowing you to instantly fire it when ready. You can hold up to 2 rocket launchers. The rocket launcher does big damage, allowing you to one-shot crushers on damnation and has a sizable blast radius too. You can further buff up its damage with some talents and stims as well. The good news is that there is no friendly fire or self-damage. The bad news is that you can't rocket jump with this Blitz.
No.
For the Ruffian's Aura, we have Ruffian, which increases our melee damage by 10%. Very simple and straightforward. Looking at the Ruffian's combat ability, we have Rampage. Activating Rampage swaps to your melee weapon and you are seeing red for 10 seconds. While in this state, you gain plus 50% melee power, 20% attack speed, and 25% damage reduction. You are also stun and suppression immune in this state. Whenever you hit an enemy with your melee attack, you extend the duration of Rampage by 0.3 seconds. Once you've reached 20 seconds, the ability to extend the timer diminishes. After Rampage wears off, you become exhausted for 7 seconds and become vulnerable to incoming damage, taking 25% more damage, and you lose most of your stamina as well as have a minus 75% stamina regeneration speed for the duration. Like Desperado, this ability doesn't start its cooldown until after Rampage has expired. This ability turns you into a melee fighting machine, bashing and ripping through enemies with ferocity, but it becomes even stronger when paired with its supporting combat ability modifiers. Boiling Blood allows your hits against elites and monsters to extend the duration of Rampage for 1 second for every hit. Additionally, the extension timer for Rampage before it starts to diminish is now 30 seconds. This modifier is too good not to have when going on a rampage. The ability to maintain your monstrous damage buff while smacking tanky elites and monsters means this ability holds up even better at higher difficulties. Channeled Aggression grants your heavy attacks 25% more rending as long as your rampage timer remains above 50%. This modifier can help turn most melee weapons into can openers, making them more effective against maulers and crushers. If you'd like to learn more about rending, I have a beginner-friendly guide to help you understand how it all works. Forger's Bellow causes you to release a staggering shout when Rampage is activated. Enemies affected by it have their attack speed slowed by 50% for 5 seconds. Once Rampage wears off, you shout again. This modifier gives Rampage a defensive component, allowing you to slow down enemy aggression and can provide a little bit of breathing room in a pinch. The last modifier is Pulvering Strikes. Upon activating Rampage, you gain 50% more cleave. On top of that, you gain an additional 2.5% melee power for every second spent in Rampage up to 25%. This is an incredibly powerful node for buffing up your melee game even more. The 25% more melee power doesn't just give more damage, but it also provides more cleave and stagger. And when combined with the 50% cleave already provided, having this node up and running is like having a mini version of the Wrath Blessing built into your ability. Next, let's take a look at the Ruffian's Keystone node, Adrenaline Frenzy. Whenever you deal a melee hit, you gain a stack of adrenaline. Critical hits will give you an additional stack. If you don't gain any new stacks within 2 seconds, you lose a stack instead. Once you've reached 30 stacks, you will consume all stacks of adrenaline and gain the Adrenaline Frenzy buff for 10 seconds. In this state, you gain 10% attack speed and 25% more melee damage. This is a powerful steroid for bringing up the lethal potential of melee weapons against all enemies. The fact that you only need to keep hitting enemies to build up and maintain such a powerful buff is a big selling point for this Keystone. This then brings us to its Keystone modifier nodes. First, we have 2 Keystone modifiers which changes how you build up stacks of adrenaline. Adrenaline Assassin lets your weak spot hits get an additional 2 stacks, but in exchange, regular body shot hits won't build stacks anymore. Adrenaline Smiter allows your killing blows to provide 4 stacks of adrenaline, while killing elites will give 10 stacks. In addition, non-killing blows don't grant any stacks. Both modifiers let you lean into building up stacks faster, but limits how you can build them up. This creates an interesting trade-off where you can maintain Adrenaline Frenzy easier in some situations, but will struggle to keep it in others. Moving along, we have Stoked Rage, which increases the duration of Adrenaline Frenzy by 50% to 15 seconds total. Adrenaline Unbound allows us to passively regenerate 5% toughness per second as long as Adrenaline Frenzy is active. And lastly, we have Uncontrolled Aggression, which increases the duration of each adrenaline stack to last twice as long at 4 seconds. Lastly, we are going to explore the final pathway for the Hive Scum, designated as the Chemist. The Blitz ability of this class is Chem Grenade. You chuck a toxin canister at a location, and after a brief moment, it explodes and releases its contents across an area. Enemies who step into the area are poisoned and have 5 stacks of chem toxin applied to them. If they die to the poison, they explode, dealing minor damage and stagger in a small radius around them. The effect lasts for about 20 seconds before disappearing. This grenade is very similar to the Zealot's Immolation Grenade, but I think it's a little more stronger because of the chem toxin's damage profile. This grenade is great at covering a retreat or thinning out an advance, allowing you to soften even armored enemies too. Next, the Chemist's Aura is Anarchist, which provides your team incoherency with 5% extra crit chance. To be honest, I'm not impressed by this aura at all, because it's basically the same as the Psyker's Prescience Aura. I was hoping that we would get something more interesting rather than having a stat buff we already have covered. Anyway, for the combat ability, we have Stimm Supply. When activated, we place a bootleg medicrate on the ground that cleanses corruption instead of healing, and then allows us to be immune to corruption while under its effects. The medicrate lasts for 20 seconds. Like the rest of the Hive Scum's abilities, the medicrate doesn't start its cooldown until after it has expired. Furthermore, if you currently have a Stimm equipped, Stimm Supply will copy its effects and disperse them into the air, providing its effects to nearby allies. Essentially, this combat ability allows you to provide your entire team with Stimm benefits without actually consuming the Stimm in question. So if you have a cooldown Stimm and place down a Stimm supply, everyone in radius will also have the cooldown Stimm effect applied to them. For its combat modifiers, we have Practice Deployment, which allows us to instantly make Stimm supply ready for deployment as soon as a Stimm is available to use, whether you pick it up or otherwise. Fast Acting Stimms is probably one of my favorite modifiers for this ability. It reduces the duration of Stimm supply to 5 seconds, but its effects linger for 15 seconds after leaving the area. This is excellent for providing your team with buffs on the go without needing to bunker down in an area. Finally, we have Booby Trap, where once the duration of Stimm supply runs out, it causes it to explode and inflict 7 stacks of Chem toxin to nearby enemies. Overall, this combat ability is a team enabler, capable of empowering your entire squad with incredible buffs at the same time, whether it's for defense, offense, or support. This segues nicely into what I want to talk about next, the Cartel Special Stimms. With the Hive Scum, you have a new UI available called the Stimm Lab. This is accessible regardless if you have Stimm supply as your combat ability or not. Here, you are able to choose whether you want to use your own customized Stimm and then fine-tune what the effects of the Stimm will be. However, choosing to use the Cartel Special Stimm will lock you out from being able to pick up regular Stimms. The way it works is like this. Every 5 levels, you will gain 5 points to allocate in the Stimm Lab. You can then spend these points on Stimm upgrades, with each upgrade tier needing more and more points to unlock. You are free to go in any direction as long as you have the points to unlock it. For every point that you spend, you will increase the cooldown of the Cartel Special Stimm by a certain amount of time. The more Stimm effects you pick up, the higher the cooldown of your Stimm will be, from as low as 15 seconds to as high as 75 seconds. So this creates an interesting decision. Do you want more powerful Stimms, or do you want to use them more often? To give you an idea on what kind of Stimms you can assemble, I've put together this table for your viewing pleasure. Feel free to pause and check out what cocktail of buffs you can put together yourself. Remember that whatever buffs you put here, Stimm supply will also provide to your team. Finally, let's talk about the keystone for the Chemist pathway, Chemical Dependency. Whenever you use a Stimm, you gain a stack of Dependency for 90 seconds. For every stack that you have, you gain 10% ability cooldown reduction. This stacks up to 3 times and decays 1 at a time. This means that as long as you are stimming up regularly, you can reduce the total cooldown of your ability by 30%. But beyond just providing cooldown reduction, the Keystone support nodes also give some strong buffs too. Chem Enhanced gives us a 5% crit chance for every stack of dependency that we have. So at base, if we have 3 stacks, this is a 15% crit chance buff throughout the game. Chem Fortified allows your Stimms to also recover 50% toughness in addition to its usual effects. Additionally, each stack of dependency gives us 5% toughness damage reduction. This adds a layer of defense to our Stimm usage, allowing us to restore toughness in a pinch. Lastly, maxed out chems increases the number of dependency stacks we can have from 3 to 4, but reduces how long they last from 90 seconds down to 60 seconds. This is a very powerful supporting node, given the extra stack of dependency could mean an additional 5% crit chance and 10% cooldown reduction. But it all comes down to how well you can maintain your Stimm usage and uptime. As part of the Chemist's talent path, there is a node here that helps a lot with this, Sample Collector. This allows all your kills to help restore the cooldown of your Cartel Special Stimm, giving you more uptime to maintain your dependency stacks. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is me browsing through the entire talent tree, mousing over every single talent so you can see for yourself what they do and where in the tree it is found. Feel free to pause the video to have a proper read whenever. To close this video out, I think the Hive Scum has some really fun build crafting potential to be had. I haven't totally experimented with every single angle just yet because there have been updates coming in and out, but I already have some build ideas in mind that I can't wait to test out in a bit. Once again, if you like what you see and you see what you like, consider wishlisting it through the link in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Varlets.